with Pastor Yemi Osibajo.
I pray that the victory of Mr. President will never come to an end, but we continue.
President Muhammadu Buhari says the People's Democratic Party, PDP, still owes Nigerians explanation on how it expended the huge resources that accrued to the country from oil sales between 1999 and 2014. The president said this at the State House while receiving the leadership of the organized labor, which came to felicitate with him on his electoral victory. In a statement by the special advisor to the president on media and publicity, Femi Adesina, the president thanked the organized labor for showing support and patriotism during the presidential election. He pointed out that the current administration met a country with dilapidated infrastructure and questions why the party that was in power for 16 years did with the country's earnings from oil, which reached a peak during that period, on what Nigerians can look forward to in the next level. The president promised to continue pushing the change agenda and focus on security, economy, and the fight against corruption. He urged the organized labor to partner with government to make the country peaceful, prosperous, and corruption-free. The statement indicates that President of the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, Comrade Ayuba Waba, lauded President Buhari for being worker-friendly, as exemplified in the granting of bailout funds to state governments in paying backlog of salaries and pensions. The Labour leader also appealed to the National Assembly to earnestly pass the National Minimum Wage Act, asking the president to thereafter sign it into law within the shortest possible time. The Information Culture Minister Lai Mohammed has urged the people of Kwara to resist any attempt to be intimidated from coming out to exercise their civic responsibility by voting for their preferred candidate on Saturday's mayoral and house elections. The minister made this last-minute call in Ilorin, the Kwara state capital. Anthony Forsen reports.
In what can be better described as a wrap-up of the campaigns ahead of Saturday's election, the Information and Culture Minister, Lai Mohammed, drove around Ilorin, the Kwara state capital, amidst cheers from APC supporters chanting the Otoge mantra all the way. The minister then had a brief stopover where he addressed the supporters in Yoruba. But when we took him on to know what his message to them was, he was as simple as this.
Here I told them to come out in large numbers on Saturday. But Mr. President has promised us 100% security. So I told them to come out early in large numbers and vote for our party. In addition, they must not just leave the polling unit after voting. They must stand there and protect their votes, get the results, and accompany the result to the collation center, and that they should not sleep until after Abdurrahman Abdurazak has been officially declared governor of Kwara State.
In Ilorin, the Kwara State capital, Anthony Forsen, NTA News.
Still on election matters, governance and security are two sides of the coin that shape the society through the purpose as electorate. On the 9th of March, Nigerians will again go to the polls to decide those who would rule them for the next 4 years. In this report, Ronke Kolawole takes a look at how the Nigerian police force has played its role in the 2019 general election as the second segment of the election draws closer.
Left, right is a trademark during parade. Beyond that, The police is said to be a friend of the people.
Honestly, I really commend them because the way they handle the electorate, it was very, very commendable.
The security officers, both police and civil defense, they all did well. There was calm. There was no problem at all.
They are putting their best. And I know by the grace of God, with the new IG, they'll do more.
The written goes on, and the views are the same, that the Nigerian police force stepped up its efforts to providing adequate security for the February 23 election. The election for many is not without lessons, especially with pockets of violence recorded in some parts of the country, bringing to reality the fears in some quarters that violence was imminent in some states, and it is said that when two elephants fight, it's the grass that suffers.
Politicians are known to hit the polity, and the advice to them is not to hit up the polity, not to arm or send out young persons under the guise of political talks or party agents.
They should first of all conduct themselves so that their supporters will look at them and emulate from them and follow same peaceful and orderly manner.
A look at the Presidential and National Assembly polls indicates that more than 3,000 operatives were deployed nationwide to man the election, a development many say speaks volume on sincerity of purpose for a police force of 350,000 to have almost all its personnel in service delivery.
We were able to design a security arrangement to tackle both the general threats as well as specific threats that are localized in some states, in some local government areas, and in some wards. And by so doing, we were able to proactively deal with a lot of security issues.
With March 9 few days away, the force had thoroughly assessed its performance in the February 23 election and came up with improved strategy to secure states.
Have got customized and tailored to suit security arrangement for each state of the federation, taking into cognizance the prevailing security situation, the history of the state as it relates to electoral violence and electoral related offenses.
I would implore the Nigerian police force and other security agencies to keep up the good work, in the right frame and on the right grounds.
The consensus of the interviewees is for the Nigerian police force to remain apolitical, professional and civil in handling the forthcoming general election across the country. Ronke Kolawole, NTA News.
Well, still staying with election matters. Ahead of Saturday's gubernatorial and state assemblies elections, the Nigerian Civil Society Situation Room has asked the Independent National Electoral Commission to take steps necessary for a smooth conduct. Convener of the Situation Room, Clement Nwako, urges the Commission to learn from the mistakes of the presidential elections.
The way the administration of the election was conducted. This is an election that is much more localized, so there'll be a lot more interest, it'll be a lot more controversial, a lot more contentious. So we expect that INEC knows to start the polls early, knows to deliver materials, knows to be able to control the interference of the security in the elections, because it has statutory powers to define the extent of participation of security officials in these elections. So we are asking INEC to better manage this election than happened with the presidential and National Assembly elections.
The Situation Room advises politicians to shun acts that may lead to violence. Moving on to judiciary matters, the Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja has affirmed Ayogweze as the governorship candidate of the All Progressives Congress in Enugu State for the forthcoming election. The appellate court, in a unanimous judgment by a 3-member panel led by Abdul Aboki, on Thursday set aside the judgment of the Federal High Court, which earlier affirmed Judge Ogara as the All Progressives Congress governorship candidate of the state on the ground that the suit brought before the trial court is statute barred and not competent in law, having been filed outside the mandatory 14 days in line with the provision of the law. The APC held its primaries on October 4th, and Mr. Ogara filed his suit at the Federal High Court on November 5th. Adamu Sambu has a packaged report on the felicitation of the Nigerian Labour Congress with President Muhammadu Buhari on his re-election. Let's have it now.
Really, there was terrible mismanagement of this country in the last 20 years. And we are just trying to make up. And we cannot succeed without your cooperation.
Exchanging views with the leadership of the labor unions comprising, amongst others, the NLC, TUC, Nupeng, Pengasan, Ipman, Nolge, and the National Union of Road Transport Workers, President Muhammadu Buhari sincerely thanked them for embarking on voter education for peaceful elections, as well as stepping in to support willing Nigerians travel with ease to exercise their civic rights.
You intervened as patriots. It was not for political, religious, and tribal purposes. You simply did the right thing during a very difficult period for many of us. On behalf of all Nigerians who benefited from your kind support, I want to say thank you. As we prepare for this weekend, my prayer is we also conduct the state election in a non-violent manner. We cannot afford to go back to the days of violence and mayhem.
The president also used the opportunity to once again thank Nigerians for giving him another 4-year mandate to continue pushing his administration's change agenda.
We will remain focused on our core pillars of reform: security, economy, and fight against corruption. I want to assure you that we, as government, will partner with all of you to ensure the next 4 years will be peaceful, prosperous, and corruption-free.
Speaking on behalf of the Labour leadership, NLC President Ayuba Waba told the president that the entire working people in Nigeria felicitated with him over his re-election and are desirous of sustained partnership for a better Nigeria.
I remember, Your Excellency, you publicly and openly asked state governors, how do you manage to sleep at night when the salaries of your workers in your states are not being paid? For us, that was one of the finest moments we have had with any president in this country. Your Excellency, I can stand here today and say your intervention was the difference between life and death for many of our workers and pensioners.
While urging the president to continue making the nation's poor the centerpiece of his policy initiatives and actions in the next level, the organized labor made a case for sustained efforts at job creation, provision of affordable power, economic diversification, and revitalization of public service.
Your Excellency, organized labor remain committed partners in national progress, peace, and stability. We urge government to continue to engage us in national building, and we assure you we will continue also to support government policies and programs. We must consolidate on your successes of the past 4 years by strengthening the relationship between government and organized labor. Please be assured we are ready and willing to do our bit.
The labor unions promised to remain veritable partners in progress with the Buhari presidency, but hope that as soon as the bill on the new national minimum wage, now before the National Assembly, is passed, it will be assented to within the shortest time possible for implementation. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Moving on to corruption matters now, the former chairman board of directors of one of the new generation banks, Tunde Ayeni, has been arraigned before a Federal Capital Territory High Court in Apo. Tunde Ayeni, alongside Timothy Oguntayo, are standing trial on 4-count charge bordering on alleged criminal breach of trust running into over 4 billion naira. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, which arraigned the defendants, is alleging the duo conspired at different times to fraudulently divert depositors' funds domiciled in their banks. The defendants pleaded not guilty to the allegations. The presiding judge, Justice Valentine Ashi, granted them bail in the sum of 500 million naira and 2 sureties each in like sum. Well, you're on to international news on NTA. We'd like to go for a break. Don't go away.
NTA International News. Africa as it is.
Thanks for staying tuned. For developments from the world of business, Rachel Shwaibu is standing by.
Welcome to Business News. The Central Bank of Nigeria has released a set of guidance notes on the implementation of the International Financial Reporting Standards, IFRS 9. In a circular signed by the bank's Director of Other Financial Institutions, OFIs, Mrs. Tokumbo Martins, the bank directed the OFIs when measuring financial instruments and assessing significant increase in credit risk to ensure that an entity at each reporting date assess whether the credit risk on a debt instrument measured at amortized cost and fair value through other comprehensive income has increased significantly since the initial recognition. Meanwhile, a report from the National Bureau of Statistics indicates that the value of agricultural exports rose to 302.2 billion naira in the fourth quarter of 2018. The Bureau gave a record showing that the value of imports from the agricultural sector declined from 886.7 billion naira in 2017 to 851.6 billion naira in 2018. Also, the Nigerian Ports Authority shipping position reveals that Nigeria in January and February imported a total of 986,492 metric tons of petroleum products, representing 1.3 billion liters of fuel. That's it on Business News. I am Rachel Shaibu. Enjoy the rest of the news.
Thanks, Shaibu. We have zero tolerance for corruption and eager to move our mining sector to a higher level. That is the language of the Nigerian delegation at the 2019 Prospectors and Developers Association of Canada Convention, PDAC, in Toronto. Joy Osiago reports that it is no longer business as usual.
With over 25,000 attendees from 135 countries and 1,000 exhibitors, the biggest annual mining event in North America, PDAC, presented a veritable platform for stakeholders to learn about new trends and technologies impacting the mining sector. Nigeria is taking advantage of the crucial meeting of the world's mineral and finance industry.
The time is ripe for Nigeria and Canada to engage. Solid minerals is an area which we have identified as a place for meaningful collaboration between our two countries.
We're looking at gold, we're looking at lead zinc, which Nigeria has an advantage globally. Exploration contracts have been awarded in the key minerals that we think Nigeria has advantage.
Canadian High Commissioner to Nigeria, Philip Baker, attests that the political will of the federal government in the mining sector is encouraging.
The leadership and the laser-sharp focus of what this delegation has come to achieve here, the planning that went into it before they got here, and the determination in driving through every day here has been highly impressive. This is how you do PDAC.
The Nigerian delegation and the Nigerian High Commission in Ottawa are holding series of meetings with prospective investors. From the Metro Toronto Convention Centre, Joy Usiago, NTA News.
For stories from other parts of the globe, here is Joyce Ometo.
The new president of the Democratic Republic of Congo and his predecessor, Joseph Kabila, has agreed to form a power-sharing government. Since his surprise win in disputed elections in December last year, President Felix Tshisekedi has been unable to push through his choice for Prime Minister as Mr. Kabila's Common Front for Congo FCC controls parliament. After 3 days of talks, both sides agreed on a deal that, say, will strengthen peace and stability of the country as well as facilitate the rapid establishment of a government. Meanwhile, the United Kingdom has been urged to table fresh proposals within the next 48 hours to break the Brexit impasse. European Union officials said they would work non-stop over the weekend if acceptable ideas were received by Friday to break the deadlock over the Irish backstop. Chancellor Philip Hammond has warned Brexiteers to vote for the PM's deal or face a delay to Brexit. In other developments, Thailand's top court has dissolved an opposition party that nominated the king's sister as its candidate for prime minister. The Constitutional Court, which issued the ruling on Thursday, said Princess Ubo Ratana's nomination threatened the neutrality of the monarchy. The party's executive board members have been banned from politics for 10 years now. That's it from this segment. I am Joyce Ometu.
Thanks, Joyce. Moving on to sports now. New mini stadium inaugurated in Dawaki, Kudu, Kano, as South African Trade Union challenges racism in sports. Tamara Ebiwe brings us details.
Minister of Youth and Sports Development Solomon Dalung has reiterated the commitment of the Muhammadu Buhari-led administration in reinvigorating grassroots sports development in the country. Ali Adamu reports that the minister was speaking at the inauguration of a mini stadium in Dawakin Kudu, local government area of Kano State, alongside Governor Umar Ganduje.
In the years ahead, we will put more of these facilities at the grassroots so that we can produce the so many likes of Kanu, the so many likes of Jejo Okocha, and all the hosts of great sportsmen and women we have in this country.
We have the highest number of youth in Nigeria. Therefore, this project has been constructed in a place where it is supposed to be constructed.
Reactions continue to trail Manchester United's advance into the quarterfinals of the UEFA Champions League for the first time since 2014, after defeating Paris Saint-Germain